Hey, I'm Kyle Gorman with the Employer Blueprint, and we are working our way through creating definition for our team and creating definition for our employees. This week, what we want to talk about is defining short-term and long-term goals. The first thing we need to do is let's make sure we understand short-term goals versus long-term goals. So short-term, I typically am going to talk about daily, weekly, or at most monthly goals. And whenever we talk about long-term, typically I'm going to be looking at like quarterly or annual goals. But this is as we continue to kind of drill down and drive even further into defining what we expect of our employees and how each person fits into that. Creating these short-term and long-term goals helps someone evaluate their success on a very regular basis. It allows them to know whether they are meeting expectations that have been set out or whether they're not meeting expectations. And what this does is it really starts to open up channels of communication that we're going to talk about later. But big thing is it makes sure that no one's ever surprised at how they're being evaluated. No one ever gets shocked when they find out maybe they aren't meeting what the expectations are, because you've outlined very specific and clearly defined goals. And so as we've gone through roles and responsibilities and expectations, this goal piece is where we can really kind of focus in on some very specific things that they have to accomplish to be successful in their role. Now here's my caution as we talk about short-term and long-term goals, is we cannot be vague with these goals. We have to be very specific. So what I encourage you to do is think about SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T. Now, everybody defines these a little bit differently, but how I want to define this is they need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And so think through those things as you are developing these goals for someone on your team to make sure that you kind of go through these S-M-A-R-T goals so that they're not vague. We need to be very clear with what we are defining for people. Now, the example that I want to give is still, we're going to talk about our salesperson that we're trying to create definition for. And so we've talked about very high level roles and responsibilities. We've talked about kind of drilling down a little bit further into some standard expectations. Now with goals, we can start being very specific. So instead of just saying that the expectation is to make outbound calls based on leads that we've provided, what we're going to say is we expect them to make 20 calls per day. And instead of saying we expect them to attend conferences every year, we expect them to attend 4 conferences per year and 3 networking events and to close 4 deals per quarter. And so what we really start to do is now we really are diving this into very specific goals, and we're giving timelines. We're making sure that they're relevant to what their role is within the organization. We're making sure they're very specific so that they know at the end of each day, each week, each month, each quarter, each year, whether they really are accomplishing the goals that we've set out for them. So we are helping kind of create and provide that roadmap. Now stick around next week as we talk about going from short-term and long-term goals into developing key performance indicators, which are going to be slightly different than goals. This is Kyle Gorman with the Employer Blueprint. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure to subscribe for more great information.